All right, welcome everybody. Welcome Gwen, how are you?
Hey, hey, how are you doing, guys? Yeah, I'm very well. How about you, Eden?
Really well. A little bit sunshine in Paris, so yeah, good. I'm really
Yeah,
happy to have you. Yeah.
it's way better than like the last 40 days, right? We had a very bad weather here in Paris, but yeah, I think now we get back to the like the pre-spring.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really happy to have you today with us, and I think we're gonna wait 1 minute in the audience. Feel free to grab a coffee, get comfortable, and ask question. Don't be shy, guys. And if you want to ask a question about the topic, whatever you want, feel free to post it directly in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure I should open like a Twitter tab to check at the same time what people are saying, right? I didn't do that.
Yeah, I would just look if we are on live. Normally it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I saw you live. Yeah, and I saw myself live, so I should I should cut this. Yeah, okay, nice.
Nice. So what's up, Gwen?
So yeah, I mean everything fine. So for those who don't know me, right? So I used to be a developer relation at Consensus, and I recently joined BNB Chain as lead dev. Um, so yeah, so for people who don't know, yeah, so BNB Chain is BNB Smart Chain, right? So it's a layer one EVM compatible chain. And yeah, so I'm taking care of like all developer acquisition, developer relation strategy there.
Nice, nice. And today is going to be a bit different. We are not diving into a builder project, a builder session, but more into a bigger topic. How do we educate the next generation of Web3 developers? And for that, I'm really excited to have you, Gwen. I thought about you because I was at the Ethereum Funds meetup in Paris, and you were giving a talk about developer education. And honestly, it was really insightful, so I thought it would be great to bring this conversation here today and share some insights with the community.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, thanks a lot. I think this is a topic that's really passionate me recently, right? I'm having actually I have like three like I have a talk at ETC, so April 1st, and I will have like two other talk on the same day. I think when so there is a summit from the Ethereum Foundation about stateless consensus, and we also have an infra panel, I guess, for Axis. So it's a bunch of different topics, but yeah, like the education topic is the one I will be presenting at ETC as well. So actually, the Ethereum France meetup, I really thank Tiziak for the invitation. But yeah, it was kind of like a first try of experimentation to try to see like yeah if the idea like yeah please people and what or we can open the topic.
Nice, nice. So let's start some questions. The classic questions that everyone get asked. It's anything in the space recently that surprised you, like inspired you, something like that.
I mean, recently, so I was checking a lot. So I don't know if you saw it, but like recently there was a lot of Mastercard announcement, right? So Mastercard first announced that they launched some rails, like some stablecoin rails, and today I think they acquire Banker for like 1.8 billions, right? And so it's really like it's really I mean it's a trend we saw for like the last 5 years, and I think right now it's like fully achieved, right? Which is like crypto is now like a traditional finance world. There is different opinion about it, right? I have some people who have like mental breakdown when you say that, and you have some other people it's just like I mean, guess it's back to normal. But yeah, we are really in a very institutionalized world, and I think all the geopolitical tension we see recently in different countries also help. I mean, the traditional finance world to see like how efficient it is, because I recently saw some case of settlement for petrol and a bunch of things happening right now in the Middle East. Right, there is a bunch of settlements that are happening in crypto. because usually they do those settlements by wiring. But right now, there is some restriction around some banks apparently in this region, which is pretty normal, right? When you have a war that big, you can have some internet disruption, you can have a bunch of problem. But yeah, like the kind of like decentralized system, even if it's part of it is still centralized, um, it's still working, right? So I think institutions are seeing this. So yes, that's really interesting. I think to see all those players entering this market. Um, I don't know what it will become in the next like 5 years. Like, will it be completely integrated in from like a full permissioned layer, or there will be some permissionless stuff somewhere? But yeah, I guess we'll have to
Yeah,
see.
let's see, let's see. But it's very interesting. And I know you are a developer, and as a developer, what's something let's see that's actually got you so excited?
Oh, I mean, Claude.
Yeah,
No, so I mean, so the full AI things, right? I mean, I'm just using like constantly. So you have your company subscription, you have your personal one, and so when you reach capacity on one of the two, you're just using the other one, right? So I'm just doing that all days. Recently, because for the dev role, I'm traveling quite a lot for BNB chain, so. I was considering like, okay, like I need to find a way to optimize like the way I travel. I can't spend that much time to like book my travels. Like, what's loyalty program should I choose and everything. And so I just launched an agent at it, right? And actually it works quite well. I mean, it's still a very complex problem, so I still have a bit of code to do, but it's really interesting to see like how fast you can do something, right? I wanted recently to see, okay, what are the new EIP in the ecosystem. And I just, like, usually before you will just go on Ethereum Magician website and you will scroll manually, okay, like what's going on, reading the topic and stuff. Now I just ask the agent, hey, can you give me like the 10 or test EIP topics on Ethereum Magician forum and give me a summary, right? And in like 10 minutes, you get a summary. It's way easier for your team. We already thought about a lot of different automation that we can do. So it's really, it feels like, yeah, like all the kind of things that you were forced to do before by hand. Right now, if you have a good idea, you can just execute it. It's way easier. It doesn't solve the distribution problem, because if you want to launch a company and a product, you still need distribution. And I think you can automate part of the distribution, but it doesn't solve like the markets that you need to target and the niche that you need to focus on. But for the product part, you solve a lot of overhead. You don't have to wait like 6 months having like 10 engineers working on it. You can just do a POC or a POC or an MVP yourself, and you will be fine.
yeah, totally agree with you. Personally, it's the same. It's Cloud Code because I'm a builder too, and I love experimenting, shipping so small projects. And recently, I have building with Cloud Code. It was, to be honest, I don't touch code. I didn't write a single line of code since few weeks, and I don't even review my code. I think this tool are now really powerful. And I remember, I don't know about you, but 2 or 3 years ago, I was at my first hackathon. It was so tough. We are deep diving into the code. And now when I go to the hackathon, everyone has crazy projects. And like really everyone ships something. Before there were so many projects that just didn't work.
Yeah, I think uh, we saw the difference in hackathons. Actually, I think it's true. Like, many projects right now are way more achieved in terms of project. Like, now you have a nice front end, right? Because before, one of the biggest pain points in hackathons was to find the front end guy, because usually you had a bunch of like engineers that wanted to do some backends or some smart contract logics, and they didn't wanted to spend like a night or 2 nights on components, on React components, and like trying to understand what they have this hydration problem in in the component or the router of React, right? And right now you can just say, okay, like I'm focusing on what I like, and I can just ask the AI to do the rest, right? I think right now, like what I'm learning is like how to parallelize those things. So meaning like before I was just launching one agent, now I'm launching like 3 to 5, trying to make them work on like different pull requests at the same time and then merge it and everything. I think you can do it like if you combine different AI is good as well, right? I'm trying to combine like a Copilot with Opus model, right? But still you can use Copilot directly on your GitHub request to review what Claude did. And then you can try to do some loop like this, where you can also put Codex on top of it if you want. I won't recommend to use the Claude review because apparently it's built at a very, very expensive price. But Copilot, I think, includes like a very decent amount of like free review requests if you have the pro version. So yeah, no, it's very interesting. I think for hackathons it's way better. It's harder to judge, I would say as well, because right now you can have some they look very good, right? You have some apps that can look very, very good, but you don't even know like how much time people spend on it. So you don't know if they want to continue, right? Because hackathons, it's a top of the funnel activity. So what you want to do is then having people like continue building. They don't have to build the same project, right? But you want people to have like a continuation in your ecosystem to bring them to like some kind of like incubation program or some kind of boot camp, right? And then they can have a project that is ready to deploy. So it's a bit tricky sometimes to see like, hey, like we have this project that looks very cool, but actually like the person is not interested at all or already have like 2 full-time jobs. So, so it's not possible.
Nice. So yeah, we'll go back to our track, and I always like to understand how people get into Web3 into the space because developer relations paths are never standard. And what was your Web3 journey? And I have another question also. It was what made you decide to be developer relation or not developer or project manager or business developer or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very long story, so I try to make it short. But like,
Please.
I think in short, like I start by doing a bunch of like a lot of different things, right? I was very curious about a bunch of kind of business when I was in first year of university, and so I just start to see different stuff going on, and I already knew crypto from the past. I already knew Bitcoin, and I was looking at some kind of like video every day for the last, I don't know, 4 years. I was just like, okay, so let's try to check, right? And then I saw the NFT season, I saw the NFT bubble, and so I was just like, and then everything crashed, right? And at that time, I was I think it was beginning of my engineering or in the middle of my engineering studies, and then so I was just like, okay, I should probably like try to build something, right? So with a friend, we were just like, okay, let's try to build some stuff. And then we start doing hackathons. And so I had my first experience like building as a hacker, and we were like lucky enough to like win the first ones and win the second one. And then East Global paid for our plane ticket to go to Tokyo, right? Because they were giving like a grant to go to the next one for the finalists. And so I was just like, oh wow, that's really cool. Should definitely like continue doing that. And so then I end up like doing like, I don't know, 10 or 15 hackathon in a year. And people were saying like, oh yeah, like for a computer science person, you speak great. Like you're not someone that want to be in a cave and not speak with everyone, which is kind of like the cliches that computer science people can have sometimes. And so I was just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. And they were like, yeah, you should do DevRel. I was just like, okay, what's DevRel, right? And then I discovered like kind of like the DevRel job, which is, in my opinion, it really depends. The scope really depends. We can briefly discuss on this after, but like it depends on the team. But it's kind of like a technical. It is between like being like a business developer person and being like technical, right? Because you have BDs that are purely commercial person, and you have technical people that are like purely technical, and most of the time you won't see like a quant engineer speaking in public in front of you. It doesn't really happen that much, right? And so I was just like, yeah, I think looks great. Like, let's ask around. And then I got my first role, then got hired by Consensus, and now working at Beard Midchain. So that's a short version of the story.
Okay, this is very interesting because now I'm curious about the developer relations side specifically because there are a lot of title of developer relation. There are developer relation advocates, engineer. What type of developer relation are you?
Yeah. Yeah. So my title, I think I was like a general DevRel at my first company at Aura. Then I was developer relation advocate at Consensus. And right now, I'm since I'm leading the team, you have to be more general as well, right? There is not specifically like you have to lead the full strategy here, so you don't have specifically like a advocate or engineer, right? That's the two type: developer relation advocate and engineer most of the time. Um, I would say the main difference is like developer relation engineer will more focus on creating technical content, technical documentation, some docs, some SDKs. There will be more hands-on code, right? If you had to give like a percentage, it would probably, I don't know, code like more than 50% of the time, right? And developer relation advocates, they will be more focused on delivering the content to the audience. So like doing those kind of live stream, doing workshop, presentation in conference, like can be a lot of different stuff, like creating some videos, right? When I was doing I was doing some video for Linea at some point. So it depends, but it really depends. Usually it's also like DevRel is also a very good role if you want to be able to do a bit everything, because if a team have a problem, most of the time, because you're the DevRel, right? You're supposed to do also the bridge, like a PM in a team, like technically like a product manager role. You're supposed to do a bit like the bridge between your technical team and your marketing team, because there is also multiple way to structure it, right? Because most team now, I will say, will structure DevRel either under marketing or either under product. You also have some structuration where DevRel is structured under the CTO, right? Office of the CTO or the technical team. Then if you're under the CTO, you will obviously be a DevRel engineer, right? You won't be a DevRel advocate because DevRel advocate implies to be linked to marketing, right? It's a very different role. And so depending on the structuration, you will have to do the bridge between different teams. And so because of that, you are aware, right? If there is a problem somewhere or if there is a missing component somewhere, like, right? The team, you have to know. If you don't know, you don't do your job, right? And so you can just say like, hey, like I can help creating this component, right? Most of the time when you see like you just go on a chain, I'm playing like I joined a BNB chain, yeah, like so 3 weeks. I think it's my fourth week this week. So I'm still playing around a bit with like the chain, like to see how it works, and I can see like, okay, there is this thing. Maybe we can try to develop it. And if my engineer don't have the bandwidth, I can. Right now, it's quite easy, right, to develop it by yourself. So I will probably like develop like I don't know, like gasless onboarding if I want. I can just do it myself.
Okay, but because at the end of the day, I think all the developer relation have the same mission is about helping developers to understand Web3 and build some projects. And from your experience, what it has actually is the hardest part when teaching Web3 to developers?
What's the hardest part of teaching Web3 to developers? I think uh, it's an interesting question. I mean, I think right now the hardest part is like everyone is focused on AI, so the hardest part is to get the attention, right? I think the attention, like AI really took the scene for a lot of stuff, right? So you have to, I mean, you have different way of approaching it, right? You can approach it in a finance perspective, like saying this is like kind of like a new finance infrastructure. So you're learning the infrastructure of finance, right? That will be used in the next like 5 to 10 years. Like people were learning COBOL at some point to work in the finance development sector, right? Or you can also show the aspect of decentralization. So I think right now it's quite easy to learn the tech because you don't really need to learn the syntax anymore for any project. I don't recommend people to learning syntax like before, right? You're writing on paper your syntax. Now what you need to do is learning the logic. But most of the time, when you speak with developers, you need to be able to assess do they have the logic or not, right? And I think there is some interesting experiments that we could do by checking what people type to their agent, right? Because depending on how they type, you can know if they have the structure or not. Because if you type like, "Can you build me this app?" But actually, right now, agents are improving because if you type, "Can you build me this app?" agent will say like, "What stack do you prefer?" Right? They ask you for the stack. And so that's where the developer part kicks in, right? You have to choose your stack. But if you do like a, I don't know, Python application, you have to choose between Flask and the other framework. If you do like a JS application, you have to choose between Next, the Nest, I don't know, Vue, Vite, or whatever, right? There's a bunch of React framework. Um, and I think the hardest part is like, if people don't have it, then you have to be at a very different level. But I think the tech itself to understand is not that hard anymore. Maybe sometimes people they also need to understand what it implies to build when you build on blockchain, right? Meaning like the information, like you have oracles, you need to teach them all the middlewares, right? What's inside, like oracles, there's a propagation delay between nodes. What is public or not? That's very important, right? Because there was a bunch of discussion, especially with institutional people, where they assume that like ZK, because you have the ZK term, which is very linked to privacy. So they assume that if they have ZK, everything is private, which is obviously wrong, right? I mean, it's obviously not obviously for everyone, but like, that's wrong, right? It's a ZK chain will be in most cases still a public chain. It's just that you're computing the information and you're generating your proof, but doesn't mean that you're hiding the information from the blockchain explorer. People will still be able to see it. If you want to, I mean, you can use FHE if you want to hide information, right? So yeah, so you just need to explain, I think, the concept, but I will not say it's hard right now because you can really tailor stuff for developers.
Okay, I see what you mean. The AI just change all the way.
Mm,
So, but I think this is a big question for everyone trying to get into the space to be a developer. Do developers learn Web3 directly through tutorials, documentation, or actually building things at hackathon, hacker house? Because for me, one of my best experience was at Starknet Hacker House in Denver a bit than a year ago, and it was really good experience. I was with really good developers, like people from Cartridge. I think you know it, and I
mm,
learned a lot just being around them. It was intense. I wake up, I think, at 7 a.m., coding all day and staying until 1 a.m. And it was like that every day for almost a week, but it was without AI. So yeah, tutorials and documentation helps, but for me, the real learning comes from building.
Yeah, no, always like being hands-on in the code. It's always better, right? If you don't use toolings yourself, it's the same as when you do like when you children and they ask you to do a math problem, right? They ask you to do like a multiplication on paper, or they ask you to do, I don't know, like something else. If you don't do it by yourself and you just look for the result, you won't even learn because then your brain will not, yeah, will not memorize anything. So it's always better. I think hackathons also a big part of like kind of like a developer experience, right? That's because it's for students. I think it's one of the best vector. Like you can just go, you can win some prize monies that are enough to cover your cost, right? So so it's like you don't have to pay to learn the technology, right? So you just like discover like yeah, it's like it's very. I think it's a very convenient way. Um, but yeah, yeah. I don't have much to add there. Actually, it's a yeah.
Yeah, nice. And so let's make it very practical now for people watching. If someone in the audience is a Web2 developer and wants to get directly into Web3, where should they begin, for your opinion?
Um, I mean, before I was saying like you should go to Scaffold East, you should try Scaffold East. I mean, Scaffold East is still a very good website, like Speedrun Ethereum, the V2 is still very. There are some games you can do a bunch of things. If you prefer to do auditing, there is some specialized website for CTF as well. There is, depending on what you want to do, there is like a security, front-end development, back-end development. You have different onboarding platform. But right now, I would say like the best you can do maybe is just like checking the skills that are everywhere, right? So you install all Web3 skills that your agent can install, and then you just ask your agent question, right, about what you can do with that. And then you will just learn, because right now I saw CoinGecko launch an MCP and kind of like a CLI as well. A lot of company right now, they're launching CLI because agents, it's easier to interact with them using CLI. So they're launching, I think they launched a CLI 5 days ago. At BNB, we launched like our skill, we launched an MCP. I think everyone is launching an MCP server right now. So just interacting with those MCP server and having like the skill context for your agent as well. It's already a lot, right? You can already do a very intense research just based on that.
Okay,
And
interesting.
then if you want to make the community, right? Because it's very important actually. If you want to land a job in Web3, and I think in every industry, but particularly in Web3, because we're speaking about financial system, right? So systems that we're building on are securing a lot of money and a lot of value. So referral to join company are very important, right? If we, it would be very hard for me to say to my company, hey, let's hire this person if I never met this person in real life. Like it's quite important. Like the IRL component is very important, even if most of the job are like fully remote, very flexible. You need to have meet the person at least once to make sure like it's somewhat legit, right? And so for that, hackathons, conference, there is meetup in every country. You have local meetup every month, so you can just also go there. So yeah, I think that's a very important part.
Okay. And I would like to highlight another thing, because there are around 30 million developers globally working in Web 2, and the number in Web 3 is so less. It's
It's
estimated.
decreasing.
Yeah. Yeah, I made a post about this yesterday. It's decreasing, and it's currently around 30,000. So it's
30,000. I didn't check the new electric capital
30, yeah.
report, actually. I need to check. But yeah, like I, I think also, I mean, the same, like AI kind of like took the spot, right? It's also very niche because the thing is also like people, maybe they won't consider themselves like I don't know like what methodologies they use, but like right now I saw actually like an interesting trend is like the number of commits or technically are rising globally, but for most already like live project, for like long-term projects that are already live for more than 3 to 5 years, the number of commits are actually decreasing. And why? It's because now with one commit, with one AI commit, you do a lot more lines of code, right? You can change a lot more things. So you don't have to commit that often, right? Because before you were doing everything by hand. So if the thing doesn't work and then you have to you lose your code, you're not very happy, right? Right now you're just asking your AI to do the first commit, but the commit is a very big one already. And if it doesn't work, it's fine, right? You just redo the prompt and you just wait 5 more minutes. So there is like some kind of like interesting numbers tweak, I think. So I don't know like if they consider, because if they consider this purely based on commit, I think that's the sore answer, right? But it's true, like you don't have much companies, or like right now budget are shrinking. Like I mean, crypto is really depends on the price action for assets, right? And I think assets right now, it's not super bad state, right? If you compare to like 5 years ago. But just it's always on the trend, and like the trend right now is more of a downtrend rather than an uptrend. That's where you have the best actually team building and everything, because you can filter out a lot of team. Um, but yeah, I think it's we have a small numbers, but I think over the years, either it will be integrated into it will be considered as Web2 because you will do like kind of like finance development, or it will just grow. But I think it's also there is a lot of like a private development of Web3 in a bunch of institutions that are not public, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to go back on the track, and let's say you start from zero today, when you go back, and if you were starting as a builder in Web3 today, with everything we have now, so AI tools, what you will do?
It's very interesting. I don't know. Like I think right now, I mean, everything that can allows you to like I mean, tokenizing commodities, right? I think it's something very, very interesting that I saw recently, or tokenize like any like real world asset, but real world asset meaning like tokenizing stock, right? I really like what Odos, for example, is doing with the stock tokenization, like having the 24/7 like trading on the oil during the weekend, right? I think that was something very interesting in the last few weeks. To check on hyperliquid, like what was going on, right? And I think right now what we just lack is a bit of liquidity. We need more liquidity in this field because the liquidity depth it's quite low, right? It's a few tens of millions, but it's not that much. So I think those kind of projects are very interesting. So I might like try to do that because you don't need to yeah, you don't need like the 10 people engineering team, right? Right now you need like 2 or 3 people team. That's it. I don't think you need more. I don't think you need more than that. Like company scaling, because when you scale a company after 10 people, it's very hard. So I would recommend to people to stay below 10 or even like as lean as possible, right? Go to a country with a very low burn rate and try to do your thing. If you already have a job and a well-paid job, don't quit your job like to take this risk, because a lot of people are actually right now taking this risk. There is a lot of like computer science students that can't find a job outside of the US. I think the employment rate right now is like as low as like 7% after 6 months or 3 months. It's very low, right? Pre-COVID, it was something like 50. So don't quit the job like and do like a foolish move. But like trying to build some stuff, I think it's also very, very interesting. And you can do that when you're very young, right? I think when you have a wife and family, like it's harder, right? When you have your family, it's you can't really take that risk because you need to take care of your family. So yeah, I would probably like try that. Yeah.
Okay, your ideas was nice, and I will add a little touch. You can directly add iExec for the privacy layer, and directly have your commodities as a token, and directly send this token in confidential way. So yes, it can be a really good idea. And about projects, what is the best project, developer project you have seen recently in hackathon or hacker house or whatever?
The best developer project I saw recently. I mean, I saw it's also very hard to say like which one is the best. I mean, recently, usually when I do that is like I just launch my phone and I check like what kind of like stuff I tried recently, right? I tried a bunch of things. I'm always trying like a bunch of new apps, a lot of new things. Um, I mean, right now, to be honest, I spent the last 2 or 3 weeks to like research about like miles and hotel program and a bunch of things like this. So I just saw like some kind of like 40 years, like a 20 years old application. So it was not really the best that I saw. No, actually, but I don't remember the name of this project, but I saw some kind of like project on BNB chain doing some AI automation for like kind of like AI trading, but like we were discussing about it, right? And it's very hard today to do like a proper like AI trading in a sense. So we are discussing about like what AI can do and how it can help for like, for example, liquidity pool management. To like, for example, if you see a big influx of something, you can trigger a mechanism because you can trigger a bunch of things programmatically. But I think sometimes programmatically is not enough, right? Because you still need you can do a lot of metrics, and then you still need a human to see like, okay, based on those metrics, it's very bad situation. We need to move the fund out, right? And sometimes you can trigger it programmatically, but I think you also have like a path that is open with AI now of like being able to like trigger that based on what we understand from the context, right? Which is not the way LLM works today, right? Because LLMs are based on predictability, but there is this new startup from Jan Leuken, I think, working on those real thinking like AI, not LLMs. And I saw, yeah, so and we were discussing with this project like yesterday, yeah, and that was very interesting. But I can't remember like the name, like, but yeah, but I think there is some stuff like for LP management. It's worth to check. Um, there is some interesting stuff that people are building.
Nice, nice. From our side, during our last hackathon, we organized an hackathon Hack for Privacy with 50 partners in Paris, and we saw some really strong projects. And I think one I really like was the confidential prediction markets, because today on platform like Polymarket, everything is public, all the transaction, all the position, and with this kind of projects, everything will be private, which is actually super exciting, interesting, in my opinion. So, all right, I think I will ask
Yeah.
the last question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Any advice for developers who want to start building in Web3?
Yeah. So I mean, go join hackathons, right? If you don't have any budget to travel, I think join online hackathons first, and then when you made a bit of money or you made some connection, try to do an in-person one, especially if you want to land a job. Um, but then yeah, like just research. You have a lot of resources on the internet today, right? You don't really need to spend much time. I won't recommend also if you're like someone that is like 18 years old and about to go like 200K in debt to do some classic education. I don't recommend it as well, right? It doesn't make sense to do that today. You will just like burn money for nothing and be very badly in debt. So if you're in the US, in any other countries that have like very expensive paid education, I don't recommend to do it. But yeah, like join. Yeah, like join a hackathon, try to find some stuff, or like just launch some project, try to go on product hunt and launch your project, your page, and see what's going on.
Nice, amazing. Thank you so much, Gwen. Thanks for joining us. And where can we follow us?
Yeah, you can follow me on my Twitter account. So it's like Gwenole and like with the dash M. And on
So,
Twitter, yeah, Twitter is the place where I share the most of my content, even if I don't share that much because I'm mostly focused on creating content for like products. But yeah, like I share stuff on my Twitter.
nice. So, have a good day, everyone, and take care of you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Eden. Bye.
Thanks. Thanks.